The bell above the diner door jingled softly as laughter echoed from a booth near the window. 3 young men sat there, loud, careless, and cruel. Their laughter wasn't from joy, but from mockery. At the far end of the room, an old man in a faded coat stirred his coffee quietly, pretending not to hear. His name was Ray Carter, but to them he was just that homeless guy. "Hey, old man," one bully sneered. "You planning to pay with dreams again?" His friends roared with laughter. The waitress glanced over, worry clouding her face, but said nothing. The room grew heavier with every cruel word. Ray lowered his eyes, whispering softly, "I just wanted some warmth." Then suddenly the diner door opened again. The laughter stopped. The air shifted. 3 men in uniform, soldiers, stepped inside, their boots striking the floor in rhythm. No one knew yet that within minutes, this ordinary diner would witness something unforgettable. Ray Carter sat alone in the farthest booth, close to the window, fogged from the winter chill. His hands trembled slightly as he held the chipped coffee mug, sipping it slowly as if stretching every drop. His coat was old, the color long faded, and his shoes had seen too many miles. But behind those tired eyes was a story no one cared to ask about. The waitress, Lena, noticed the way he always said thank you, even when all he could afford was a single cup of coffee. Some days she slipped him an extra biscuit when the manager wasn't looking. Today, though, she saw something different in his eyes, pain mixed with quiet dignity. As the bullies laughed across the room, Ray sat still, tracing his fingers over a small silver tag around his neck, half hidden beneath his collar. The tag bore an engraving, Carter, R., 1st Infantry. He'd once served his country with pride, but now, to the world around him, he was invisible. And as the laughter grew louder, the diner's hum of chatter slowly turned into uncomfortable silence, a storm of humiliation building around one forgotten man. The tallest of the bullies, Chad, leaned back in his seat, smirking as he tossed a crumpled napkin toward Ray's table. "Hey, Grandpa," he called out. "You missed the retirement home bus or what?" His friends erupted in laughter, their voices slicing through the diner's uneasy quiet. Ray didn't look up. He'd learned long ago that silence was safer than pride, but his quiet only fueled their cruelty. One of them, a heavy-set guy named Derek, stood up, swaggering toward him. "You wearing that coat since the war?" he mocked, yanking at Ray's sleeve. The silver tag glinted for a moment, and Ray instinctively tucked it back under his collar. Lena froze behind the counter, her hand tightening around a coffee pot. "Leave him alone," she said softly. Chad turned to her with a smirk. "Relax, sweetheart. We're just having fun." The rest of the diner looked away, pretending not to see, afraid to get involved. Ray's trembling hands reached for his cup again, trying to steady himself. His voice, quiet but steady, finally broke the silence. "Son, kindness doesn't cost you anything," Chad snorted. "Guess that's why you're broke." A hush fell over the room, and then the bell above the door jingled again. The diner door creaked open, and a gust of cold air swept through. 3 men stepped inside, dressed in army fatigues, their boots clicking sharply against the tiled floor. The sound alone made the bullies glance over, and for the first time that morning their laughter stopped. Sergeant Blake, tall and broad-shouldered, looked around the room with calm, assessing eyes. Corporal Diaz, the youngest, carried a quiet seriousness, and Private Nolan, with a scar across his cheek, nodded respectfully to Lena before taking off his gloves. They walked toward an empty booth, but something made Blake slow down. His gaze fell on Ray, the hunched figure in the corner, trying to make himself smaller. The recognition was instant, like seeing a ghost from another life. "Sir?" Blake whispered under his breath, almost in disbelief. Ray looked up slowly. For the first time, his tired eyes softened. Blake's expression changed, from soldier's composure to heartfelt respect. "Captain Carter?" he said quietly. Lena froze. The bullies stared, confused. In that silent moment, the whole diner seemed to exhale, unaware that everything was about to change. Sergeant Blake took a cautious step forward, disbelief still written across his face. "Captain Carter." "Sir, it's really you." Ray's lips curved into a faint, tired smile. "Haven't been called that in a long time, son." Corporal Diaz and Private Nolan exchanged stunned glances. "You're the captain Blake told us about," Diaz said softly. "The one who saved his entire unit in Kandahar." The bully's smirks vanished. Chad blinked, looking from one soldier to the next, confused. "Wait, you know him?" Blake's tone hardened, all respect and authority now. "Know him? This man's a hero. We're standing here because of him." Ray looked down, embarrassed by the attention. "That was a long time ago," he muttered. Blake turned toward the bullies, his voice cold. "And you thought it was funny to mock him?" No one spoke. The entire diner was silent, every eye locked on the man who moments ago was just that homeless guy. Lena's eyes welled with tears. She set down a fresh cup of coffee in front of Ray, whispering, "It's on the house, Captain." The silver tag around his neck caught the light again, and this time, everyone noticed. Chad forced a nervous laugh, trying to shrug off the tension. "Hey, we were just joking around, man. No harm done." Sergeant Blake's eyes narrowed. "Mocking a man who fought for your freedom isn't a joke, son." He stepped closer, his presence commanding the room. The bullies instinctively backed up. "You sit here laughing at someone who's seen more pain in a day than you will in a lifetime," Blake continued. "Show some respect," Derek stammered. "We didn't know—" "That's the point," Blake cut him off. "You never ask. You just judge." The silence was thick, every patron in the diner watching. Even the cook had stopped moving behind the counter. Ray placed a gentle hand on Blake's arm. "It's all right, Sergeant," he said quietly. "They're young. Maybe now they'll learn." His calm voice carried more strength than anger ever could. Blake turned to the waitress. "Lena, could we get another round on us?" "For the captain." The bullies looked down, shame replacing arrogance. One of them whispered, "I'm sorry, sir." Ray nodded slightly, forgiving in a way that only someone who's seen real suffering could be. And for the first time that day, the diner felt peaceful again. Lena refilled Ray's cup, her hand still trembling slightly. "It's an honor, Captain," she said softly. Ray smiled faintly. "Just Ray, please." Sergeant Blake sat across from him, his tone lighter now. "You know, sir, the men still talk about you." "About how you never left anyone behind." Ray's eyes glistened. "I wish I could have done more," he murmured. Blake shook his head. "You did enough. You gave us courage." The diner was silent except for the low hum of the heater. The same people who had looked away earlier now watched with quiet respect. Even Chad and his friends, heads bowed, approached hesitantly. "We're sorry, sir," Chad said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We didn't know who you were." Ray looked at him, not with anger, but compassion. "Son, you don't need to know who someone was to treat them kindly. You just need to know they're human." Lena blinked back tears. The soldiers raised their mugs in a silent salute. As the camera slowly panned out, the voiceover closed softly. "Sometimes heroes walk among us quietly, asking for nothing, not even respect. But when kindness meets courage, the world changes, even if only for a moment. What would you have done if you were there? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that restore your faith in humanity.